West Virginia football coach Rich Rodriguez with us. Big 12 Media Days.
What's happening, guys? What's going on? Too good. Am I like the last guy or last
No.
I'm right in the middle.
And Michael knows we've been working on getting you, and this is a great time. No,
nice.
We've been here since yesterday, and I think we're going to end up with 12 or 13 head coaches, and we're glad we were able to add you to the list and be a part of it, which we asked for from the beginning.
Yeah, great.
Do you have to put tape on guys' helmets when you get to August, like high school football players, and what their names are?
Yeah, I'm thinking about that. I have a roster anyway, and everybody like sometimes the same number on offense and defense, so like they have different colored jerseys. But I have a guy that stands next to me, and I'll say, Isaac. Usually if they do something to piss me off, it actually helps me learn who they are, so I'll know who I'm yelling at. Like, Isaac, what's his name? I don't want to just say a number. It's so and so. Hey, what are you doing, Johnny? So I tell our guys, sometimes you pissing off is not necessarily a bad thing because I get to know who you are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got to know 72 players. The cliche coaches, you can never go home again.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I don't feel that you think that that's true.
No, I hope not. It's happened, but I feel a little bit like Forrest Gump. I've been out in the bayou in the desert and been all the way in points in between, and now I'm back home, and it's really neat. It's been a little surreal, but I've been so busy I really haven't reflected on it, and I don't know if I need to, but it's funny because it doesn't take you long to, so sometimes 6 to 9 months when you're a first-year head coach somewhere, like know the town, whatever. To me, it was like 6 to 9 minutes. They added two traffic circles in Morgantown, and I'm still trying to figure out when the hell you get off of them. I just go in circles. But
like a hamster wheel.
Yeah, but that's been really good.
That's funny you mentioned that. I was going to ask you how much, if anything, has changed in Morgantown since you're like a couple traffic stops.
Yeah, a couple traffic circles, and then the university hospital's blown up. Hired like 1,500 new doctors in the last 6 months, and they've got a great entity going. And it's right across from our stadium. So when that's built up, all the condos and the townhouses around the stadium is built up. So we've modernized it a little bit. But outside of that, West Virginia is still West Virginia, which is a good thing.
They don't burn couches anymore.
Well, they don't. But I heard there's a city ordinance against it.
Yeah.
But if we win a big game this year, my ass is burning the couch. I'm just telling you. I'm going to pay the fine ahead of time or something. I don't care.
Gasoline in a match, baby. That's gasoline in a match. Or a blowtorch. Yeah, I had somebody actually reach out to me and invite me to play Greenbrier. Isn't that the beautiful course?
That's where they had the underground bunker used to be in case we had a nuclear war. The Greenbrier had the underground, but it's not a secret now, so no longer it's not used. But it's one of the most beautiful places in the East for sure.
Yeah, he's been wanting me to get out there, and he's asked me to come out there, and I may just make a little quick hit out there. And of course, they had that flooding issue.
And they got a nice little casino down there. You can go lose some money in blackjack in a hurry too. There, if you want to do that. Yeah.
I can do that. What was it like when this opportunity came open for you, and the chance for you to get back to where you really do have so much, I guess, roots in the ground?
Yeah, well, believe it or not, a lot of this stuff, it really does. Some people say it's just months in work and taking place. It really was happening really quick because we were at Jack State and we're doing well. We were actually getting ready to play a conference championship game. And so I didn't do anything until after that. And then I had an interview. And then 4 days later, had an in-person interview. And then 3 days after that, the job comes. So it happened a lot quicker. Now, they may have done some research ahead of time and what have you. And I know there's some people that called beforehand from that standpoint. But, it very rarely does it happen, right? Do you go back to a place, especially when the exit was kind of testy when I left, and now you're going back in a different dynamic. So it was good. And I could have stayed at Jack State the rest of my career and been perfectly happy. I loved it there. We were winning, a great situation. But, this came up. This is home, and this will be my last coaching stop.
I think, we had Coach Frost on yesterday, and you and he are almost in the
that's right. He got to go back too.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people who get mad about situations like that, like fans who feel hurt that you left.
Sure.
Many of them probably have not been presented with that opportunity of like, oh my gosh, like this is something big in the profession that I do. You want to challenge yourself. Like, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, look, Michigan gives me a bunch of money. Like, for someone who's competitive as a coach, you see that and you go, oh, that's something I would like to try. And it's hard to say no to those things. You know.
Well, I'm the worst one for patience, and I was, I should have been more patient as far as some of the things I wanted to have for the program that we felt that we needed to stay where we were at because we're at a pretty good spot. And didn't think it was happening fast enough. But, you live and learn. I'm not the same coach I was back then. I better be smarter and better if I expect everybody else around our program to grow. So, but, as things are so testy and life moves on, were there times that I thought about coming back? Well, the opportunity didn't present itself very much, and I wasn't in a position. It did one about 5 or 6 years ago. And they had a different administrators, and they said I wasn't even in the top 5. Well, like, well, hell, I got better odds in the lottery than I didn't really worry about that. So I'm like, don't worry about it. Go find a good job. I got a good job at Jack State, won there, and then all of a sudden this happens in a hurry. So it's pretty neat.
Speaking of administration, when did you first get to meet Wren Baker? Was that during the interview process? Did you have a previous history? Kind of, we're big fans, and we've interviewed him a lot of times.
Yeah,
so,
Wren's great. Yeah. I didn't know Wren. I had actually met him at a it used to be called the Frolic. Now it's more presidential. It's a Fiesta Summit in Arizona a couple years ago, and there's ADs there and coaches there, and we were there, and I met him for the first time. I had a good chat, but I didn't really know him. And I didn't know him until this process started. So, and like I said, it happened pretty quick. I'm sure they did their little. They had Coach Saban, I think, was on. They had him kind of searching some guys. So he called me. I've known Coach Saban for a long time. We're some of the same hometown. So he called me during the process. But it happened, like I said, it happened pretty quick. And I say I'm blessed. It doesn't happen very often that you can come full circle and you come to the opportunity where I could finish my career where I kind of got it started. You know what I mean?
And that's his alma mater. And so what were some things he asked you about? Well, I mean, him, Coach Saban.
Yeah, he didn't go to school there, but he's from –
He's born there. That's right.
Yeah, he's from a little town called Bononga, and I'm from Granttown, which is in the same county, like 10 minutes away. Both little coal mining communities. And so, well, we've all known all the same people, but they're going to involve, and they got him involved in it. He's going to kick the tires. Coach Saban doesn't do anything half-assed, he's going to do it all the right way. And so some of the questions he asked, it was like, okay, I know I'm not the only person they're calling. And I think they Zoom called. I think Wren Zoomed. They told me like 20 some guys. I'm like, okay, so you're telling me there's a chance, right? But I really didn't. It's kind of, I guess because of part of my career, I wasn't like waking up or staying up overnight worrying about it. I was in a great place. We said, oh, we're going to do a Zoom call. And then if you're a finalist or whatever, then we'll do an in-person interview. And when they called after we won the bowl or the conference championship and wanted to do the in-person thing, I'm okay, now this is pretty serious. And so he came down the house and we had a nice time.
Saban from Kent State, but from West Virginia. Paul?
Yeah. When the historical period when you were there was Pat White, Noel Devine,
right.
The speed that you guys had and the way that offense hummed. That is, I think, what a lot of people are excited to see come back to West Virginia, the way that just electricity happened. Do you feel you have some of that a little bit peeking up on your roster?
Yeah, a little bit, but that was a unique situation because we had some really fast guys that played really fast and played really hard, and the culture that we had was one of the things that we thought helped us win. So that's non-negotiable. We're gonna have that back. And I think the players nowadays, like back then, you tell Pat White, run through that wall, he'll run through the wall and not even ask. Now they'll still do it, but they want to know why. And if you don't give them the right answer, they'll Google and say, well, that ain't what it says here on Google. Them dudes are smarter than they've ever been. Yeah. So you got to explain to your players why you do it. But you still can have the type of culture where they play really, really hard, harder than they think they can. And that's what we're building now.
I have a question about Noah Devine. He went North Fort Myers High School.
Right.
I'm from Fort Myers. I went to Bishop Borough High School, but that's Deion Sanders High School. Like that is a place that is usually on lock for any of the big three in Florida. How did you convince a Florida kid that was in that kind of triangle to say, you know what?
And everybody was recruiting Noel. He was a freak, but they weren't sure he was going to qualify and pass the test. And I thought he could. He had a tough upbringing, and Deion really helped him, and it was kind of a mentor a little bit. And they weren't sure he was going to pass the test. I was convinced because you sit down with the kid, and he was a sharp guy. He just had some tough luck. And so we hung with him. And so he didn't sign on signing day. And it was a month later. It was the last day he could sign on March 31st. It was or the letter of intent's void, right? And so he finally says, okay, coach, I'm coming to West Virginia, because Dion was going to try to send him to a prep school in Connecticut. And I said, no, you know how cold it is in Connecticut in December? And I said, I don't know if that's going to be good for you. But anyway, he finally agrees to sign with us. It's like 11 o'clock at night, the last night you could sign. Well, the letter of intent we had sent him had expired, and it was void. I was about to fire the whole staff. I said, are you kidding me? We're going to get the top running back of the country, and we got to pay. So I said, is there a Kinko's somewhere in Fort Myers by your neighborhood? He said, there is. I said, go to Kinko's right now. He went to Kinko's. We faxed him a thing. He signed it, faxed it, 11:45 p.m., got 15 minutes to spare. 2 weeks later, he passes the test, rushed for 4,000 yards, whatever, in his career, and graduated in 3.5 years.
Isn't it his son who just ran some kind of like
Yeah.
crazy?
Yeah, he's in the 8th grade. I'll still be around probably, but yeah, little Noel. He's about he's a fast guy. But he and I hired him and Pat White and Rasheed Marshall on the staff, and I told him I'm not hiring just because of what they did in the 2000s. I'm hiring for what they could do for us now, because they're really good coaches and really good with our players, and they're going to help us win.
And now, all these years later, you'll be sideline across the sidelines from Deion Sanders when you guys play later this year. I mean, could you have ever? Who
would have thought, like, Kyle and I go way back from the Pac-12 days. Now we're going to go back and renew our deal going on there. And so there's a couple of old guards of us, me, Kyle, and Coach Gundy, been around a little bit. Coach Fritz has been around a little bit. So, college football has changed, but this still – these are pretty good gigs that we got. You know what I mean? Yeah. These aren't bad jobs that we have, so we shouldn't complain too much.
Yeah, I think the league's got a lot of great coaches now. You're new to the league.
Right.
And so just kind of what were your outside impressions? And since we're here at Big 12 Media Days, just your thoughts on what you're facing.
Well, half the league I kind of know from Pac-12. I don't, every team is different every year, but, the Arizona schools and Utah and Colorado, we even played BYU a couple of times. So I have a little bit of idea of what the programs, where they recruit from and all that. But everything is so crazy nowadays and transactional that, you got a whole new roster every year. You got new coaches every year. If you could have something consistent that you can build your program off of, then it's going to help you. And for us, that's our environment. How we practice, we're different. How we practice, how we meet, how we go about doing our business. We're still an outlier, I think. And that's one thing that we got to be in order to have the chance for success.
How are you different?
Well, we don't have long meetings. If we're going to meet more than 40 minutes, I'm going to get them out of here.
God, I love you.
I don't bring. There's a lot of great speakers you could bring in. I'm not going to bring them in. If I'm going to spend money on a speaker, I'm going to spend money on my players. I'm going to buy them extra gear. So I don't bring a lot of speakers in. I used to be like Mr. Hard-ass coach, bring them in at 6:30 a.m. workouts. You know what I found out that does? That just makes you tired. 6:30. So we're not doing anything before 8 o'clock. I want our guys to be able to sleep in. So and when we practice, it's an hour and 45 minutes, but we'll do more in an hour and 45 than most teams do in 3. How we structure a thing. There's no, and I tell our guys, if I'm mad at you, I'm gonna yell at you, but it ain't gonna be long because we're running the next play. So everything is like nonstop motion.
So no meetings. Craig's going to love the fact that
shorter meetings.
That's right. Well, I'll work on that. Hey, Craig, 8 o'clock and not 6:30. That's good for you too.
Yeah,
I would definitely operate better a little bit later. So
That's you probably get about 1 o'clock. You're like, damn, what time is it?
5 hours. Yeah.
When we've covered the Cowboys for a long time, and I noticed from the Wade Phillips, the way he practiced to the way that Jason Garrett did it, and then Mike McCarthy, like everybody has their own thing.
Yeah.
But Wade was more of the old school, like practice moved a little bit slower. It's just how it was because Wade, he's Mum Phillips' kid. Jason Garrett took over, and then you started seeing like, oh man, like I'd never seen a football program practice move station to station like that.
Well, if you're doing so much stuff scheme-wise and it takes you that much time to get it taught in the classroom on the field, you're doing too much shit. You know what I'm saying? Simplify it, because it ain't what you call, it's what you can execute. Mm-hmm. Find what you can execute, have a wrinkle or two off of it, and then do it better than anybody else.
The question about the burning couches and all that, what you are returning to Morgantown, the fan base, my God.
Yeah, let's go Mountaineers. Let's go drink some beers.
It's just a passionate fan base.
Yeah, it is. It is like the that you see a lot in the South, and there's nothing else. There's no other Power 4 program. There's no professional team. So I tell everybody that they cry when we win and they cry when we lose. They cry.
Yeah.
That's how important it is.
If you don't mind, we have a viewer, S. Michael DeHart, and he's going to have some surgery that's pretty severe on August the 1st. Would you mind just giving him some kind of a pep talk? He's got a pretty serious issue with his legs.
Well,
Yeah.
listen, one of the things we go by is like having a hard edge, being mentally and physically tougher than anything you'd face. Not just your opponent, but anything you could face. And if you can handle that, you can handle anything. Right there's your guy.
There's
Wren Baker.
Wren.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, let's go drink some beers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Loosely. Coach, you I love the Pitt rivalry that you guys have, and I heard you in your introductory press conference talking about that one. I do think it makes the fans a little excited when they don't have to explain the rivalry to the coach.
Yeah,
It's
been a 4-letter word for me since I was in the first grade.
Exactly. So you live it, and that I think that makes fans like pretty excited because you don't, sometimes guys come in like, look, they're just like any other team on our schedule, and
it's not. No, it's not. It's and it's always been that way at West Virginia, way before I got there, and the intensity of it. And it's I don't know. I saw somewhere the other day that they had listed some of the top rivalries in college sports, and W Pitt wasn't one of them. I'm like, who are these people?
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
So they'll see the intensity. I mean, we have 60,000 seats. There'll be 60,000. Every seat will be taken in the stand. And there'll be 10,000 in a parking lot drinking moonshine and beer that wish they were in.
Yeah.
That's what the Pitt game does for you.
So he asked you to say something, then Wren came through. Could you finish your thought? I don't know if he could get.
Yeah. What's his name?
S. Michael DeHart.
S. Michael. I mean, I said it's. We talk about having a hard edge. I said everybody's going to have adversity, and you might be facing adversity right now that might be hard, or it's hard to see that you can overcome, but you can do it. Everybody's got that mentality somewhere in them that knows nothing that can happen to them that they can't overcome. Nothing. And that's for us. We use it for our guys on and off the field. Because I said, if you think for the next 40, 50 years of your life, something's not going to happen that you're going to have adversity to, it's going to happen. And are you going to be tougher than it? That doesn't mean it's going to be all peaches and cream, whatever, but you can overcome it.
Man, we appreciate you.
Thanks,
Great
brother.
to have you back in the conference.
Appreciate it. Good
Thank
to be
you.
here. Appreciate
Rich
guys.
Rodriguez with us, West Virginia football coach in Frisco at Big 12 Media Days.